We're back with another episode of the Mediocre Podcast. We are live, we are alive, and we will thrive.
That's right. Alive and thriving.
We've got Chris, we've got Sam, we've got me. My name is Dan. This is the Mediocre Podcast. We're a band called Mediocre at Best. And this is that podcast. We are 100% that podcast.
Truer words never been spoken.
Today, we're talking about subgenres and gaslighting. I mean, gatekeeping.
Which honestly,
same thing.
The two can often coincide.
It's real similar.
If we're being honest.
Yeah,
which we'll get into.
We will.
We have a second Chris Callahan roastery feature.
Oh yeah.
In our mug today. So Sebus, why don't you tell us?
So today we have the Kenya Nyeri Ichamama.
Eat who?
It's your mama?
Can you read that, or is it backwards?
It says Sweet Maria's. I can read it.
Yeah.
It's only backwards for you.
This is the green coffee. I haven't finished roasting this bag yet.
It's your mother. Come downstairs. It's time for dinner.
Ichamama. Yeah, exactly.
Can I take a sip?
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, take a sip.
I've been drinking this throughout the morning. So give us the background here, Chris. Give us the story. Give us the write-up.
Yeah, can you give us the lore on this brew?
You know, I can give you what we got here. Grabby citrus flavors like pink grapefruit and kumquat are buttressed by...
No. Wait. I'm sorry. Pause. It does not say grabby.
Yeah, it says grabby citrus flavors. Grabby citrus
flavors.
Like pink grapefruit and kumquat are buttressed by panela.
It's buttressed.
Yeah. By panela and caramelizing sugar sweetness, hint of cranberry sauce, shimmering acidity.
Wow, shimmering.
You made this up. That is not what it is.
Listen, I thought their write-ups were going to be, by write-ups, I mean like just the description. I thought it was going to be very like methodical and scientific, but no, it's just like, whatever they feel like saying. Grabby.
I got to be honest, this coffee, a little grabby.
A little handsy.
Handsy citrus flavors.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, to be honest.
Good. It's not as vibrant and bright as you would expect a Kenyan to be.
Well, here's the thing. I'm still, like I said, I'm new to roasting. If those who don't know, I'm new to roasting coffee. And so I did over roast it a little bit. Because it does best basically anything full city or below. And my roast is probably full city, sitting at full city or maybe a little bit above.
Okay, so explain for the people what full city means.
So you've got different roast levels. Like, I mean, at the grocery store or wherever you go, they'll list it as light, medium, or dark. Maybe light-medium or something like that. But in the like roasting world, you have city is the lightest, and then city plus is next, and then full city and full city plus.
Okay.
And then you've got Vienna and French roast, and there might be another name in there or two.
Like double XL.
So there's really not that many more distinctions. They just use different names.
So.
Extra medium. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm tracking. Yeah. I would say
this is a full city at least.
Yeah. I would say, like, surprisingly, the Colombian roast that you gave us last week was a lot brighter and fruitier than this.
Yeah.
Like, there's still some brightness here, but it's muted. Like, if you gave me the two, I would flip them in my head. I would say this is Colombian for sure, and that other one was Kenya, which is strange.
Something that I've found is that when you roast African coffees, typically they don't do as well at darker roasts, like medium and above, basically.
Yeah.
And as soon as you hit medium or above, they get muted and ashy really quick.
Oh, okay.
Whereas like Central American and South American coffees seem like they hold that a lot better. They hold flavor a lot better at a darker roast. They just start to lose the fruitiness.
Fruitiness.
And they don't have the acidity. But so something like I roasted an Ethiopian recently, as light as I could go, and it tastes good, super fruity, but too acidic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So had I roasted it longer, it would have muted the acidity, but also muted the fruits a little bit. So you got to find that medium.
Okay.
A little lesson from the most inexperienced roaster.
Yeah. I mean, the science here is it speaks for itself. It is a good cup of coffee though.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't. I'm not getting that like bitter tinge at all. Like there's really nothing bitter about it or like overly sticky. It's more grabby, I guess you would say.
Yeah, it's more grabby, not very sticky, but it's grabby.
Like it grabs you.
Would you say it's
but then it lets go. It is. There is strong buttress-like qualities on this. I think that was right on the money on the write-up.
So, anyways, I like this coffee.
Yeah, two for two so far.
Good.
2 for 2 so far. These have been nice. I drank my whole carafe, so I'm happy.
Good.
Happy wees, happy these. So, why don't we engage the topic?
Let's go.
And I guess a way to get started is just generally speaking, how far is too far? / are subgenres helpful at all? So we're talking about subgenres, genres of music in general. Does categorizing music help or hurt the music or the artist? And how does that play into the gatekeeping aspect of a lot of niche subgenres of music? So I guess we'll kind of start with the is it harmful or helpful discussion.
Okay.
So general thoughts on genres and subgenres to categorize music.
My general thoughts are that I like weird subgenres just as a matter of taste. Like the more niche, the more intriguing in some ways. But whether they're helpful or not, I mean, I don't know. You got to categorize things.
Yeah.
So names help you do that. I don't know.
Well, and I think so genres in general you have to use, and that's just in any art. But I think that subgenre-ing the genre can get really dicey. Like you have to call jazz.
Oh, at some point,
and you have to. Yeah, at some point, jazz is jazz. You have to call rock music.
Yeah, at some point, you got to call a jazz a jazz.
Yeah, but yeah, like you have to call a mystery movie a mystery movie. So I don't know, because I think it's helpful for me if I'm looking for jazz artists. Tell me it's jazz. But then a lot of people say, I don't like jazz, so they won't listen to the artist. But where it gets really, I think that's fair. But then where it gets ugly is it's underground jazz rap. Oh, I don't like underground jazz rap.
Is that where it gets ugly?
Yeah. Or it's I don't know, what is some ridiculous subgenre?
I feel like metal has the most subgenres.
It really does. Blackened death metal. Oh, I'm not a big fan of blackened death metal.
It's kind of spiced. Did you cook the spices on it?
Yeah. Or one that I'm hot on is math rock.
Math rock?
I hate the term math rock. I hate that subgenre. I don't hate the music. I hate calling it math rock. And I end up falling victim to, if somebody tells me that a band is math rock,
you're like,
I am much less want to go listen to it. But
I like it's post rock.
I would much rather go listen to something that's called post rock. Because math rock is annoying to me, because if you're calling it that, because you're suggesting that you're only making music based on complicated numbers and time signatures just for the sake of doing it. And that to me is super boring. So when you call Chan math rock, I immediately say, oh, well then they're not a real band.
Math rock itself is an interesting story because most original math rock bands are very much more like punk aesthetic.
Yeah.
In the sense of they're more abrasive, whereas right now we have this really clean like Instagram math rock.
Right.
So the origins of math rock are very much not like we're just picking numbers because it's more interesting to play in 7/4 than it is to play in like 4/4.
Right.
So like American football is a good example, you know.
But were they calling it math rock? I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
Or like is that a relatively new term? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Here, let me see. American football. Well, is the band going to come up? I don't know. It says it's a sport. American math rock band started in 1997. I think they called themselves math rock. I don't know. Maybe was it applied to them, you think?
I don't know. But I think either way, it's reinforcing like kind of my point, which is that I like American football and I like Chan, but I don't consider the two of them to be like the same genre, but people call it math rock. Yeah. And I do not think about American football when I think math rock. I think like what's the one that's big right now? Polyphia?
Polyphia? Yeah.
Man, I know everyone loves Polyphia. Like I'm not that big on Polyphia. And it's like, oh, but it's math rock. So like if you like math rock, you automatically like Polyphia. But if you don't like math rock, you automatically don't like Polyphia.
See,
or American football.
There's something
like
that's interesting
calling it
about
all the same
that.
thing. Yeah.
Like that whole because of that, the person that's getting like harmed in a sense the most is the artist. Because now they're not getting listens because of a genre.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what my thinking is. I think for smaller artists, right? Like American football is fine. They're doing great. but
no, I mean, but in a sense, I mean, sure they did it. You know, they're making some money in music, but anything that's keeping people from listening to their music just that's not based on the music is a problem.
And I think that maybe the broader thing that annoys me just with like media in general is describing something to someone in relative terms to something else. Like if you watch a movie and you're like, oh, it's like if Pulp Fiction like was made in 2012. It's like, well, I don't like Pulp Fiction. I'm not going to watch the movie. Or like, I love Pulp Fiction and I'm going to watch the movie and be super disappointed that it's not just like Pulp Fiction. And that's almost not my fault because like that's how it was sold to me. And the same thing with like Hollow Knight is the Dark Souls of two-dimensional Metroidvania platformer. Like that has told me nothing about what it's like to play Hollow Knight. But now I'm going to be expecting a certain thing. So when you tell me that like Polyphia is hip-hop trap influenced math rock combined with new metal influences, like I'm going in with some wild, weird expectation. I'm either going to say that sounds stupid, I'm not going to try it, or I'm going to go in like that's exactly what I'm looking for and then still be disappointed.
But how do you describe something without referencing anything? That's just impossible.
Here's the thing. So I started reading this morning. I started reading a dissertation on this topic. Because I was like, you know what? I didn't obviously
last
read
night?
all day. No, this morning. I was like, there's got to be some stuff out there.
Okay.
And the thing is, though, there's not a whole lot of stuff out there on genre and music. There's a lot on literary genre,
novels,
music
is literature. Okay, boys.
But it's essentially the same conversation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, a lot of artists are like, especially like novelists, are saying like, don't put genres on novels because it hurts the industry as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy was saying, anyway, that's a far extreme. A lot of people have something in between there. But this guy was saying, so this conversation hasn't been had about music, really. but he explained how like there is a general genre. There's a general like understanding of genre that everyone has. So like, and there was like some studies done where they showed like they played people a piece of music and they said, basically say what genre you think it is as quickly as you can. And some people were able to identify the genre like within a half or to a quarter of a second. Like that was pretty common when it came to rock, jazz, pop, something like that. And you could like those types of genres were very clear in a lot of the instances. And
no.
When you start saying, well, it's like rock, but with hip hop influences, and then with rockabilly kind of. And so that's when everything, all the lines get blurred and no one agrees on what it is and no one can even define it. And so sure, you can use those terms to try to describe something, but if no one can define it and no one can agree on it, it's not very helpful at all.
Yeah, and I think that maybe those, and speaking of lines being blurred, your lines are a little blurred right now.
Oh, are they? Nice.
I think maybe those conversations are helpful to people who have actually listened to the music and want to talk about it in like a semi-faux intellectual way.
Sure.
But I think those terms hurt. I think those terms hurt you describing music to someone who's never heard it. So to Dan's question, how do you describe it? I'm on the very like contemporary approach, being that we have like music is basically free. As in, you might pay $10 a month for Spotify, or you might not pay for it at all, or it's on YouTube. It is very low stakes for you to go listen to music yourself. So if someone recommends you a band, you should just go listen to it. And not take into account like, well, what genre is the band? Because I only like certain categories of music historically.
So what you're saying is genres are spoilers.
Yes, genres are spoilers. Now, I think subgenres are spoilers. I still want to know the genre. I want to know the most bird's eye category.
Well, you'll know that from the cover art and the song titles.
Yeah, but like if you tell me like go listen to this.
Well,
it's
cover
like,
art and song titles are misleading too.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what kind of music is it? It's jazz. Cool. Like, I'll go try it.
Even then, like you said earlier, even like sometimes people say, I don't like jazz, I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like, say it's Snarky Puppy. So while they are in the jazz category.
I think that is like a you problem. Like you, as in you, the listener. I think if someone tells you it's jazz and you say I don't like jazz, then you are closed-minded. But if someone tells you it's jazz, but it's kind of like a post blues, like jazz rock, then that's like now you are ruining it for me.
So let's take this line of thinking to its logical conclusion.
Yeah.
So you have something that is outside of the music that is used to understand or interpret the music, right? Like a genre. Like this is crust punk. So if I go to said crust punk album and look at the album art, isn't that also something that's outside the music that is helping me to interpret the music?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's way more vague and hard to define.
Well, but I feel like that is what the artist is presenting to you.
So what if an artist presents themselves as a crust punk band and they say, yo, we're a crust punk band?
And if that hurts them, that's them hurting themselves at that point.
So then if we bring it back to the question of are subgenres helpful, they're only helpful if they self-describe?
I think they're helpful in the same ways that they are harmful. Because if you call your music crust punk, you will definitely reach all the people who are like self-proclaimed crust punk fans. And if you want to remain in that niche of people who have an established taste for your type of music, then you're going to be fine. But if you want to broaden your audience, I don't know that that's the best way to go around like trying to drill down exactly what your music sounds like with like a bunch of categorizing words that relate to other bands who have done similar things.
So you're giving advice for bands.
Yeah, kind of.
On what they should do.
Kind of. I don't know. I'm just at a point where I don't want. Maybe it's more of a personal thing for me. I didn't read the dissertation.
That's true.
I myself, I don't care to hear exactly what kind of subgenre the music is because I have unlimited access to music at pretty much any time.
So
I
you
can just go listen to it.
Yeah.
So I guess like if it's a movie and I'm going to pay $15 to go see that movie, like maybe the selling point is a little bit more specific, you know, like, because there's stakes involved there. Like I'm going to go spend like 2 hours of my time, pay a bunch of money to go see it. Maybe I want to know a little bit about what I'm getting into. It's like, hey, I like movies. I'm just going to go see some random movie and not care at all about what people think about it so far, what kind of movie it is, who's in it. Like, I'm going to do a little bit of that research because now I'm like, there's real money involved in that. Music, it's on YouTube. Just look it up. Like, it'll take you 5 seconds. Like, if you're like, yeah. So maybe that's where the difference is. It's like, what stakes are in it for you that you really need to know beforehand exactly what you're getting into.
So in a paradigm where music is available for free, genres don't need to exist.
Subgenres don't need to exist.
Subgenres.
At the rate that they currently do. Now, supposing that we're in the 50s and you can only buy records at record stores,
you need to know about it. Yeah.
Then, maybe like you need to know a little bit.
So I have before we get into the actual gatekeeping question, I've got the list of all subgenres pulled up. The most comprehensive list of genres of music available on the internet.
Okay.
I've got some favorites to pick out here.
Okay. Hit me with your favorites.
Doom blues.
I've heard of Doom blues.
Doom blues. Zydeco. I don't know anything about that.
Oh, that's just just a word.
Is a
okay.
It says it's a swamp pop fusion.
Zydeco is an old form of music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe it's coming back as a different thing, but I've heard of Zydeco music as like it's like a traditional American folk music.
Well, if this is the most comprehensive list of subgenres, then it better have Zydeco in it.
That's a good point.
Novelty.
Novelty. Man, that's a whole separate conversation on is novelty music actually music?
Cowpunk.
Okay. Is that like cowboy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's under the country subheading.
Okay. I think you mean cowpoke.
Cowpunk. It's right next to honky tonk and cowboy.
Okay.
Glitch pop, and then under hardcore, there's an entire subgenre.
Oh,
list.
See, because nobody gatekeeps harder than hardcore fans.
Because you got bouncy house, you got breakcore, you got digital hardcore, doomcore, dub style, gabber, happy hardcore, hard style, jump style, machina, speedcore, terrorcore, UK hardcore, etc. Hard dance.
Maybe the genre, it could be that hardcore music, because it so often sounds the same between bands, they feel the need to further distinguish.
They're like, no, whoa.
Like, hey, we're not even the same genre.
Bro, don't you even think that I'm Diva House when I'm obviously Hardbag.
Even know. Illumination Project wants us to play some cowpunk. We'll do that in the
long-time
post
listener,
show.
first-time caller.
Yeah. We'll do that in the post show because I'm interested too.
Yeah, cowpunk.
You know what's funny though? You said what? Did you say UK punk or UK hardcore?
UK.
That's another thing. Is like people will subgenre music just based on where it came from. So like one is UK drill rap.
Oh yeah.
Or drill hip hop.
Drill rap.
Like,
I mean, you got to have drill rap.
which is like, first of all, one, you got a bunch of people calling any British rapper a drill rapper. And then two, you've got people who are actually UK drill rappers. Every song is the same. Like to a T. It's like, now I'm saying, man, I don't like UK drill rap. Because everything I hear that you call UK drill rap, it sounds the same. Because, and I think it's because they're taking like the hi-hat pattern, oh, that's drill rap. And like the flow and timbre, oh, drill rap. And I say, I don't like either of those two things. So I will now never listen to an artist who's categorized as UK drill rap.
Yeah.
Even though like we're just talking about where they're from at this point. But you have drilled that down into like
You've drilled it down. I mean, subgenres generally have like an arc, right?
yeah.
They start in generally a scene, and it's so niche, and the genre itself is so constrictive at first. Like trap is a good example. Like, excuse me, trap at the beginning was like the exact same thing every song. It still kind of is, but you know.
Yeah.
Then as it grows in popularity, people take the formula and they experiment and they subvert expectations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting part of this whole discussion, is because somewhere along the way, as it begins to expand, that's where the gatekeeping happens. And people are like, oh, well, that's not real. That's not real trap or whatever.
Right. Right.
I think for me, the only time that I've ever experienced gatekeeping was emo. Back in the day where, you know, you'd be on AIM or MSN Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
And, you know, you'd upload your MP3 file and say, listen to this, and it would take 30 minutes to download.
Right.
And I think...
Hey, Dan,
You
your
got-
mic is clipping. Just
You
so
got gate.
Oh, is it?
It's
Am I clipping? How's this?
like
Is
at a
this
normal volume.
Is this any better? How's this? Is this
Yeah,
good?
it's much better. It's much better.
But I
it's still
distinctly
clipping now.
remember calling Chevelle emo, and I got blasted.
Ooh,
I got
Dan.
flamed.
No, they're
post-hardcore.
Daniel, you cannot do that. How dare you call Chevelle and
So that can lead us into the gatekeeping conversation.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever been
Yeah.
gatekeeped? And if so, what are
Oh.
your stories?
Absolutely. I mean, myself being more in the metal scene than y'all. I mean, that's where gatekeeping like goes to get an education.
Goes to write a PhD,
Man,
write a
because the amount of
Write a
subgenres
dissertation.
under a genre is directly correlated to how much gatekeeping is within that genre. And maybe I don't get gatekept that much because I actively avoid this conversation of like calling something a specific subgenre. But man, in the comments on the YouTube videos, people are just blasting each other. How dare you call this post-core? Like, it happens all the time. And it's not even just, and it's stemming from people miscategorizing the subgenre of the music. And it just creates this whole like, but then that all comes back to like you have pigeonholed yourself into a specific subgenre that you are a fan of and you identify with. And now for somebody to come in and disrespect you by calling something you don't like the genre that you identify with, it like you blow up. It's like, no. I am a hardcore post-punk fan and I don't like this. Therefore, that is not, how dare you call that hardcore post-punk? And
So-
it's like, why does it matter? Like, why do we have to gatekeep a subgenre? Like,
Are you saying we shouldn't gatekeep Viking metal?
no, we shouldn't. And by the way, Viking metal is a bad subgenre.
Oh, is it not real metal?
No,
Is Viking metal real metal?
yes, but the subgenre known as Viking metal is a bad subgenre.
Is
That's kind of the same thing as UK drill rap.
Is
It's
pirate metal real metal?
I don't know. I don't know if I know any pirate, but it might be miscategorized as Viking metal though. And then
I mean, you
boy,
could, because Vikings did tend to do piratey. Yeah, Clash of the Titans.
But you know why they call it Viking metal? Because Amon Amarth in like the 90s, like created a new sound in metal that people hadn't really done yet. But their entire theme is just Viking stuff. Like their lyrics are Viking, their shows are Viking themed. Their last tour, they brought like a boat onto the stage, like an actual full-sized Viking boat.
No, is metal not just the most one-speed genre?
Well, now
like
see,
it's like we do one thing.
when you specify to a subgenre like Viking metal, then yes, because now everything Amon Amarth makes is Viking metal based on like their first album, and it all sounds the same. But now anyone who sounds like Amon Amarth, it has Viking lyrics and themes, that's Viking metal now. Like it's a new genre. Like, no, it's not. It's heavy metal with Viking themes.
See,
like it doesn't have to be a genre.
But to me, it's helpful to think of the fact that pirate metal and Viking metal are both subsets of power metal.
Yeah.
Because musically,
is a subset of heavy metal.
Yeah.
It's a subset of metal.
That's helpful in categorizing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not. So in your scenario, when you're like, hey, go listen to this band, you should just say, Port Royal or another pirate metal band.
Yeah.
Go listen to them and people will figure it out.
Yeah.
But in terms of discussing music from an outsider perspective of like, we want to categorize, we want to understand the music. Like if we want to talk about what are the salient musical features of power metal, we need those categories. We need those. Yeah. We need the subgenres in that conversation.
For sure. And I don't really know why, even though I agree. Like I don't know why it feels good for us to do that. Like maybe it's just a human thing that we have to categorize all of our stimuli in these specific ways. But like I agree, that's something that's a good thing to do for those of us who have heard all the music.
Yeah, I mean,
now we're like, all right, now let's do an intellectual exercise here. Like, let's.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem unless it's like hurting something about the industry or something about like the musicians' jobs or something. And it does sometimes. For us, like I feel like we tend to listen to it even if it's called something we don't think we'll like. But I feel like there's a lot of people, maybe even the majority of people, that just don't even look in the category of a certain genre.
Yeah.
And that's what's hurting things. And so that's probably the major problem with it.
Yeah.
Not that it exists, it's just the way people use it.
Now let me flip this discussion real quick. What about anti-gatekeeping of a genre? So for example, I don't like country music. And then you say to me, well, you haven't heard all the country music. And now you're mad at me for saying I don't like country music.
Well,
is this an acceptable conversation for us to have?
Well, I mean,
are you allowed to anti-gatekeep country music as a broad genre?
Anti-gatekeep? As in dislike something?
No, to like
anti-gatekeep.
It's not even me saying this is country and you saying that's not real country music. I'm saying like I don't like country, and you're like, but have you listened to Willie Nelson?
Willie Nelson is pretty good.
I would say I would counter to say the saying I don't like one of the largest genres to ever exist is a little bit too far.
Are you just trying to get a rise out of Chris right now? Is that your move?
No. I'm using it's a specific like it's no, because I'm not saying I don't like country music because I love like Sturgill Simpson, but now I'm gonna say I liked real country music, not that fake country music. But like supposing
that is a common thing that people
like when
say.
I said when I said if you say I don't like jazz, then that's a you problem. Is it your social responsibility to convince me that I don't dislike all jazz, or do you just allow me to go about my business?
No.
And does it affect you at all if I don't
It's your
listen to your
cultural
jazz?
responsibility to convince people that they like things that they don't like.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the difficult part here. Because we had this conversation with your brother about coffee, like years ago, and he was like, "No, coffee's gross," and I was like, "Listen, buddy, you have to." What did I say to him? I was like, "You have to continue doing things you dislike until you like them. Then your life will be ultimately more enjoyable."
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
in hindsight, was I wrong?
No, that's my own personal opinion as well. That like, if a large group of people enjoy something, there's probably something valuable in it that you can find and enjoy yourself. And having, more things to enjoy is inherently a better position than disliking things.
Yeah.
Because as you said, it's more fun to like things than it is to not like things.
Yeah. But what do I care
about
if
him?
Ryan doesn't want coffee?
Well, because you
like
want
coffee.
Ryan to like things because it's better for him.
See, that's the thing. Is like, but why? I don't care.
Yeah,
Ryan, if you're listening, I don't care.
Ryan.
Yo,
Ryan!
here's the thing though. Wait, I don't know if you know this, but he likes coffee now.
See,
I know.
He drinks it all the time.
See?
See, I won,
that
but
is
at
getting
what
older.
cost? I won, but at what cost?
I think there's a very,
At no
prevalent,
cost.
yeah, basically no cost, really, in terms of monetarily.
So we were sent a link by Illumination Project to a website that it's called everynoise.com that lists what I'm assuming they would say is every genre, but it's a word association kind of thing.
No, I think
So,
that's actually every noise band that exists.
Do they have
that's-
crunkcore?
Is it every noise band?
Does it have turbo folk?
It looks like that's what. No, we're getting into indie. I got deep Christian rock.
Oh,
That's but you can click on any of them and go to it.
Great.
Northeast England indie.
does it have cold wave?
Oh, it's a map on how Spotify classifies genres and sort
Oh, it's about Spotify.
that sounds like a good post-show deep dive as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we would say, okay, so gatekeeping, bad.
Yeah.
Anti-gatekeeping, good.
Yeah.
Subgenres, bad
Useful.
bad in marketing, good in discussion.
Yeah. You shouldn't like something because it's within a genre. You should like it for its own value,
Yeah.
but you can still talk about it. It's useful. It's a useful term when discussing music.
Yeah. But not in selling the idea of a particular artist to somebody else.
Also, it's funny because you were like, why should I care about what somebody likes or doesn't like?
Yeah.
Which is such like a you do you situation.
Yeah.
And I think we should care what people like.
Yeah.
I think we should tell everyone what they need to like.
I think it depends on my motivation. Like, kind of yes, but it's kind of a joke, but also yes. Like, I think the correct motivation for doing that is because I want to relate to you in a better way. I want to relate to Ryan on coffee.
Yeah.
But if I'm just like, you have to like coffee because I like coffee and it's good and you're stupid. It's like, well, just save your energy and go drink coffee and enjoy your coffee. And
Well, it's
leave
because
other people
if you're getting personally offended that he doesn't like what you like,
yeah,
that's not a good motivation.
and you're just self-conscious and like you've got some.
Yeah, you gotta get rid of that. No one likes that.
Yeah, like. So maybe that's what it is. So like I think people get offended if you don't like country music because then they feel worse about themselves or like they need to validate their strong desire to listen to country music at all times by making sure that you understand why it's good. But really, if you just want to relate to me and be able to have good discussion about things you enjoy, and you would like me to attempt to enjoy them, so we can do that. Like that's great. I think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think that the headline is attempt to enjoy.
Yeah, attempt to enjoy.
At least,
but don't tell me what I enjoy isn't in the category that you think it is.
Yeah, so don't gatekeep it. It's okay if there's a label on it for classification purposes.
Yeah,
but don't gatekeep.
Because aren't labels, at the end of the day, isn't it just like coffee tasting notes? Like
I
it's
mean,
what I hear and associate. Yeah. Everyone's going to have the coffee tastes the way the coffee tastes, but the way you describe that taste might be very subjective to you. I think we should treat subgenres and labels and things and describers the same way.
Yeah.
Now that I've heard it, it sounds a little bit like this and that to me. And since we've all heard different music our entire lives, we're all going to have different like reference points to utilize.
I think that's true to an extent, but there are things that just are certain genres. Like
Bach, Ethiopian coffee is just
Bach
jazz.
Is Baroque.
Yeah.
There are certain
if you were
things,
able to create a genre based on everything someone makes, or based on the time period it came from, that's really easy.
Yeah.
Well, Baroque isn't just a time period.
Genre is just the origin.
It had a general sound, but
I mean, it had a very distinct sound and form and all of those things.
Yeah.
Right, but the genre isn't based on the sound. It's based on when it came, like where it's from. And so anything...
I think people would argue with you about that. I think especially the Beatles. The Beatles considered themselves a Baroque artist.
Yeah, they did.
But I think everyone disagrees with them.
I think there is when we talk about Baroque music, we are talking about a genre of music that existed primarily during a historical time. But what makes it Baroque is not when, but what. Like the fact that there's a use of a harpsichord, there's a lot of ornamentation, there's certain formal features. Like that's what makes it Baroque. It's the music,
right. But you didn't have that. You didn't have that influencing what they were doing. So you didn't have like the genre wasn't telling them what to make. Whereas like today, the genre tends to like, okay, it can't be. You can't do this to be this genre.
Well, and that might be due to the saturation of available music.
Yeah,
too.
There's also like a billion genres.
Well,
back then there was probably like there's dance music. There's
like you're only going to hear this in like a very specific way. Like you can't pull up Spotify. You're like, yo, I got to hear the new Bach. Like so that stuff didn't really matter as much because
did y'all hear the new Vivaldi dropped?
Yo, it's fire. Yeah, I mean, I'd say we have concluded our point.
Whatever that point may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's
bad.
The thing is, it's a hard thing. It's a hard conversation to have because it's so vague, and it's so like no one even like you can't really define those genres. But I feel like there's some meat there that everyone can kind of agree with that once you start getting into like super distinct subgenres, it's a little bit useless.
Yeah. I say embrace the vagueness. Embrace the vagueness. Don't be scared of the vagueness. Don't let the darkness instill fear.
Go boldly into that good night.
Go with the gospel. Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
I mean, I feel good about that.
I feel good. Well, boys, I think we've settled this conversation.
Do we have any announcements?
We do have an announcement. We have a new video going out today on Friday, and it will be up on Tuesday if you're listening to this in the recorded version or watching it on YouTube, and there will be a link to the new video at the end of this video. So go check it out. Go watch it. Ooh, we've got a new single coming out this Friday, next Friday, the upcoming Friday. So be on the lookout for that.
Whatever date it actually just is, the 26th.
The 26th.
Video drops the 19th, which is today. Single on the 26th.
So get hype for that.
Get hype.
What do y'all have any other announcements? Do y'all want to gatekeep anything real quick at the end here?
Oh wow, let's see. John Bonham is not.
Well, we always
You
talk
have
about
a lot of
Bonham.
opinions about Bonham.
John Bonham's not your favorite drummer. That's my gatekeeping.
Oh yeah,
thing.
you're gatekeeping.
I'm
You're
gatekeeping
allowed to
your
enjoy.
favorite. Yeah,
Yeah, tell them what they can't
that's
like.
really what gatekeeping is.
Oh yeah.
You can't like John Bonham.
All right. We'll see you later.